So on today's show, I have Maria Moreno. I came across her on LinkedIn. As you know, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. Now, she's in electrical and low voltage, more electrical than low voltage, but she has a very interesting story to tell. So I had to bring her on so everybody can get to meet her.
Don't hang up that phone. We've found what you're looking for. Welcome to the Let's Talk Cabling podcast with Chuck Bowser, RCDD. Well, seeing how we're pulling Category 6A, the most powerful twisted pair in the world, you got to ask yourself this one question. Did I pull 295 or 300 feet? Well, do you feel lucky? Do you, punk? In this podcast, you'll learn the differences between a 66 and 110 punch tool, the proper way to install a support cable, along with testing and certifying the cable. What exactly does RCDD stand for? Registered Communications Distribution Designer. Just the expert you need to ensure your cable plant performs exactly as designed. The elite professional, knowledgeable, and experienced in leading-edge ICT design principles. So join us as we talk about the ever-changing world of telecommunications. From ISP to OSP, from copper to fiber, design to installation. Now, send the new guy to the truck for a bucket of dial tone and the cable stretchers, while you listen to an informative program on telecommunications.
Welcome to Marina, welcome to the show. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to do this video and podcast with you.
It's a pleasure having you. I love seeing people setting the industry on its head, and you are one of the few people actually doing that. Let me ask you, what attracted you to this industry?
What attracted me to it was just the job security. At the time I was a single mom, and I wanted to create financial stability for my kids and, be able to afford a good and comfortable life, I should say. But yeah, just the job security of it all. Everyone needs an electrician. So I thought that would be a great industry to get into. And not only that, I have 3 of my brothers that are electricians, and another one of my brothers is a software engineer. So, that had a lot to do with it too.
Yeah, it's a great industry to be in. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. We don't always need influencers, right? But the world definitely needs electricians. The world definitely needs low voltage people. So, can you give us a brief
Yes.
overview on your work history and how you got here to this industry?
When I got out of college, my first job was commercial, and it was at FedEx. So I mainly did, little small electrical jobs here and there, and mainly mechanical. It was just a mechanical and electrical position, but commercial at first. And then I got into industrial electrical, which was, working for mines, processes. That's where I learned a lot of my automation and controls and instrumentation as well. And then led me up to right now, power generation. I work in a geothermal and solar power plant, and I've come a long way, 5 years of experience, but I mean, it wasn't easy. It took a lot of trial and error. But yeah, it's great. I only hope to keep progressing, and I'm not always stagnant in one position. I'll look for anything that's better, and I'm not saying I'm leaving my job right now, but I'm pretty happy where I'm at, and I think I'll stay with power generation for a while.
I hear you. A lot of people who are in our industry, when they're younger, like when they're kids and stuff, they've got a real strong history in like tearing things apart and wanting to know how they work. Were you that way growing up?
Not really. Honestly, my parents have always been pretty stable, and my dad was actually in mining, but I wouldn't say so.
Gotcha. Let me ask you this. So how long have you been in the industry now?
5 years now.
5 years. Okay. So you're still on the earlier side of the career in this industry. What do you, as a new person in this industry, a nice fresh set of eyes, what do you think about this industry?
It's always changing. That's what I love about it. And the technology is only getting better. So, I mean, when I talk to someone that has had 30 years experience and I barely got into, the PLC side of things and more newer electrical things, they, I can actually teach them something new. They're usually people are pretty stagnant and, they're used to older things and how to, using the contactors rather than using a PLC, a smart device, I can learn something from them as well, but it's always evolving.
I agree 100%. I tell people all the time, because the whole podcast is my side gig. My day job is I'm an instructor, and I tell people all the time, you need to strive to learn one new thing every day, if not two new things every day, because if you don't, you will become stagnant and you'll be left behind. One of the things I did recently is, I got my RCDD in the early 90s. And I got it on the 8th edition, and I was like, they're on the 14th edition. There's some new stuff. Maybe I should read it and see what's in. So I'm reading through it now with the study group with people, and I'm like, we were just reading about PLCs, and I'm like, what is a PLC? I don't know what that is. I'm an old cable guy. What the heck's that kind of stuff? So I certainly understand that. What do you think is your favorite thing in this industry that you have to deal with on a daily basis?
My favorite thing is probably just getting my hands on everything. I like hands-on work. I like field work. I like doing calibrations. I like moving. There's times where I sit in my office and I have to do things at my desk, but I love just getting out and getting fresh air and just, being able to concentrate and use my brain. You're always using your brain, always using your head. I try to tell my kids, like, hey, try to go outside and explore and, fix your bike, do your own tire. They always, yell for mom or dad. Me growing up, my parents would always make me do things by myself. So I think that's another reason why I like doing this, because, I just grew up on that. And I really enjoy getting out in the field and getting a little dirty and turning wrenches too. So. Right.
So you're naturally inquisitive is what you're saying. So you told us what your favorite part of the industry was. What don't you like about our industry?
The thing I don't like, I don't know if I could find anything that I don't like. Maybe just the hours. I do work a lot of crazy hours and have to be on call most of the time. If something's wrong at the plant, I have to, rush over and fix anything. But I mean, that's the main thing. Just the hours. A lot of people say nursing is the same thing, but with electrical, it's equivalent to that. We also work around the clock and they rely on us to keep the power on. We are the people that keep your house lights on. And, that's very important. And, it's not always about, production. It's about the people. We want to make sure that everyone has their electrical working. Yeah,
that's pretty common with the industry is, especially where you're located, or if you're like a service technician, you got your regular 40 hours a week, but then if you get called in after hours, they don't care if you're right in the middle of a birthday party or if you're in the middle of doing something else. You got to come in and actually just take care of business sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah. I noticed on your LinkedIn profile that you had mentioned that you had a fiber certification. So tell us a little bit about your low voltage history. What have you done low voltage wise?
Fiber terminations, a lot of Ethernet connections, setting up communications for all of our HMI systems or PLC systems. Ethernet's very popular. So I have a lot of experience with that. 5 years actually, because I use it every day. Cleaning the fiber. I haven't done too many terminations ever since I got it, because fiber is pretty good to use. I mean, when I did my first termination, that was actually pretty much the first and last time I've ever used it. I've never actually had to commission or do any of that anymore. Ethernet, I do all the time, only because I have to do it for our VFDs and, setting up communications, like I said. But I mean, that's typically my experience with low voltage.
Gotcha. Yeah. The whole low voltage industry is shifting with industrial Ethernet and exactly what you're talking about. Because before it was just, voice or data cabling and stuff, but now you've got, Internet of Things, you've got power over Ethernet and all that other stuff. And it is quickly blurring the lines between what low voltage people do and what electricians do. Are you a journeyman, or what certification do you have?
I'm electrical instrumentation and controls.
Perfect.
So my job is, doing anything that has anything to do with electrical or calibrations on instrumentation, like HCN detectors and, transmitters, do temperature, what other ones, flow, mass flow, and all sorts of stuff, level transmitters. And then as far as controls, automation, we're the ones that make your belts move on conveyors and all that fun stuff. But that's my favorite part too. I like doing automation and controls. So
Right.
that's what
Your industry is like ours. It's constantly changing. I remember one time back in the early 90s, I took about a 3 or 4 month break from the low voltage industry. And then I came back and I was surprised at how much changed literally months. How do you keep current with your ever changing industry?
I honestly like to do my own research. I get on YouTube. It's one of my finer tools nowadays. And also picking up an old school manual, anything that has a manual, I'll read up on because it's constantly changing. And I do my own research, and then I have to reread my college books sometimes because I forget things over time. You don't use it every day. If you don't use it, you lose it. And that's my biggest thing. I have to reread my book. Sometimes I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot how to, I forgot how this worked or whatever, but I'll just look online or do my own research. It's important for you to keep up current and, read up and do your own research for yourself.
Oh, absolutely. And our industry is the same way. We have webinars all the time that you can attend and get your certifications and stuff like that. And it's a good way to stay challenged. And I think you're the first person who said that you reread your college books.
I did. I really did. I read my Delmar's book twice and my PLC book twice, only because I really find it so fascinating. And I'm like, you know what? I need to reread that just because it's so handy. I've never found books that just had everything in there. But I mean, those were my 2 favorite books that I had.
I'll be honest here. I barely read my college books the first time I went through college. I didn't reread them. So, but that's funny. Nobody could argue that, the industry that you're working in, which is closely tied to the low voltage, it's a male-dominated field. So what challenges do you have to deal with being a woman in this field?
Honestly, for me, it was being the only woman in the field every single job that I went to. And I had to get used to that because not a lot of women are in skilled trades. And I was one of the 2 in my class that was a woman, and we only had maybe like 10 people in it. But honestly, that's one of the things. And not only that, you may run into the situation where a lot of this has happened to me on a rare occasion one time, but at this time I was getting a light load of work orders. And I'm like, why am I getting a lighter workload than other people? And I finally had talked to my boss, and he wasn't trying to be rude. He was just like, oh, I didn't know what you could handle. I did take offense to it, but I told him, hey, I need more work. I can do this. I can do the transformers. I can wire the VFD. I'm pretty independent.
Right.
I mean, that was one of my other things that I had to run into, but mainly being the only girl every single time. And I mean, it's sad, but it's reality, right. And it does happen.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is I don't know how old that supervisor was, but they're probably of a certain mindset. If you'd been a male, they would have thrown you in sink or swim. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But they're probably, looking at you, oh, you're a woman, I got to protect them. And we've got to break that mindset, which is one of the reasons why I'm having you on this show, to show you, look, we need to change this industry. We need a fresh perspective. That's why I love this. Let me ask you this. Would you recommend your career field for another woman?
I would tell a million other women to do it because it's such a great opportunity to get in with both feet first. And you really don't, I mean, safety is key. Always remember, that's the thing. You are always going to be safe. People are so concerned, like, oh man, you work with electrical, that's not safe, or, you're going to get killed. And that's a lot of my girlfriends. And I'm like, you know what? No, they give you FR rated clothes. They give you the gloves, the voltage rated gloves. You don't have to worry about that. You're going to get home to your children. You're going to get home to your family. But I would recommend it 100%. And just the job security of it. You're going to have a job. You can always find one anywhere else. And even if you had just 9 months of training, you could get into apprenticeships as well. You don't have to have any experience. And that's what I tell everyone. Yes, I went to school. I went to a program and I was fortunate enough. But if there's people that, are a little bit older and they don't want to go to school, they don't want to go to college, they need to make money for their family right away, so they want to do something, get into work, and perfect for them. Apprenticeships are always amazing to get into. So I mean, eventually they'll turn into journeyman, and that's where you start getting into a lot of the higher salaries. But I mean, I always tell people it's a good paying job.
Is that one of your goals, to become a journeyman?
It's honestly, I wanted to be a journeyman, but I'm more into maintenance. I don't, and commissioning stuff. I don't do the construction side of things, although I can. But right now I'm trying to just get into my control side of things, maybe get an engineering degree, electrical engineering one day. But that's my goal. But I wouldn't mind doing journeyman. It'd be very fun, and I think it'd be good to learn.
It's always good to have a goal, and it's always good to be working towards that goal. Speaking of goals, I recently saw a post of yours on LinkedIn where you had your beautiful daughter on there.
Yes.
So what do you think is the most important lesson that you can teach her to get her ready for a career field, whatever career field that she chooses?
For her, I always tell her, you can do anything in this world, like anything that you want. But for me, being in the darkness and shadow of things, like I didn't know that I could be an electrician at the time when I was her age, because I thought it was a man's job. I did think that because my dad would always step aside, I'll do the electrical part, or talking to my mom, or don't touch that, I can do that. But I want her to know that, hey, don't be afraid of things, jump in and come watch mom do her electrical work, or come, I can help you do mechanical things or fix things. And but she could do whatever she wants, any field. She could be in aircraft mechanic or something, anything. But my number one thing for her is you're always going to have support from your parents, and that's the main goal.
Yeah, so you can definitely do it. So now you're really huge on social media, LinkedIn and some other platforms. If somebody wants to follow your journey, what's the best way that they can follow your journey?
Probably on LinkedIn and on YouTube. I was going to post a video on there, but mainly on LinkedIn. That's my main platform. And doing my podcast, I've been having a lot of people reach out to me, and as doing things like this will guide them, and if they have any questions. Mainly,
I didn't know you had a podcast. What's the name of that podcast?
No, I'm in podcasts for other people. Yes.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm not doing podcasts. I'm not that talented, I guess.
Hey, neither am I.
Awesome for doing this.
Neither am I. I stayed at a Holiday Inn Select last night. That's why I can do this.
No, I'll leave it up to the professionals. I'll be on your guys' shows and podcasts or whatever, but mainly on there. And I would post more YouTube videos. It's just I've been very caught up with work and have a family, and but
I understand 100%. Because I actually have 2 YouTube channels and 2 podcasts. One's on homesteading, the other one's on low voltage, and I travel for work. So I totally understand having a plate full schedule where you're trying to figure out, and a regular full-time job. So I can relate 100%.
Yeah, I put little snippets of my stuff on LinkedIn, and it's just so much to put in. I really have a long history of things that led up to where I am today. So,
Yeah. So any parting words of wisdom for anybody who's just looking for something, some new industry? They're tired of doing whatever that is that they're doing now. Any parting words of wisdom from you?
don't be afraid to jump into a male dominated industry, because that's where we need people the most, these skilled trades. We need more welders. We need more, whether you're a man or a woman. I mean, of course, I want to encourage all women to do it, but whether you're a man or a woman, get into skilled trades, because it's amazing. I was doing both mechanical and electrical, and I loved it. And honestly, just push through no matter what. If someone says you can't do something, just listen to that little voice in the back of your head. Just keep going, keep pushing through, because you could see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yep. Very good. Great words. Great words. Well, we appreciate you coming on today, and we'll certainly be watching your journey on LinkedIn and maybe have you back on again sometime in the future.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Take care and be safe out there.
That's it for this episode of today's podcast. We hope you were able to learn something. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. Also, leave a rating so we can help even more people learn about telecommunications. Until next time, be safe.